All right, fellas, we got the four of you guys here in this same exact chapter because, as you can see, after you get done reading your little note there, everyone in this group has something to do with their front leg. Crowley, it doesn't specifically say your front leg, but your front leg is a big part of the shortening of your stride. So what we're going to do here, fellas, is we're going to get all four of your guys' videos playing, not at the same time. Each of you are going to have your own little time to watch. So we'll start with just Max here. Max will be able to watch his video twice in a row, then we'll go straight to the next guy. And we'll crank out your guys' videos real quick here so you each get the opportunity to see what you look like. And then we'll get into some detail about each of yours using each other to help kind of compare and contrast, and then we'll get some big leaguers up there to really help drive home our point before we finally give you the drills that you can start to do to begin to work on these improvements. So we'll go now to here. Same thing, noticing your note of staying strong on the front leg and watching then that front leg from when it gets into the ground and the stability that it has until your video ends. Do that once more. All right, and then we'll come over here. Every time I see your last name, but I'm always thinking it's Heikkinen, but that's the letters completely out of order. If we do the same thing, kind of thinking about your note that we had about your front leg and what you're seeing here from your two views, whether you're trying to watch both at the same time or you're just watching the side view first and then the front view second. And then now finally we'll get to Benny and continue to shorten your stride, and we'll watch that front leg. Did I not hit play? My fault. Oh, what's going on? There we go. That was weird. And just noting the stride length and how much this front leg is really reaching out in front of us. And then just how far that continues to take us across our body as it continues to just reach out in front rather than thinking about that rotation. Doing a lot of rotation versus reaching. All right, so what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to be focusing from the moment that front foot gets into the ground, into the ground, into the ground. We will then get us into a quad box like it's NFL red zone. We'll take Heikkinen. I know it's not it, but I'm going to keep saying it. We're going to take you, bud, and so that front foot gets all the way into the ground. And then we'll pause you, take you into the quad box. And then we can get Sgroi over here, back to his moment of his front foot getting all the way, all the way, all the way into the ground. I'll get Angelo smaller to fit his quad box. And then Mad Max, same thing. When your front foot, we're still a little bit of that inside part of that foot hitting first, bud. Where that knee's not all the way rotated and that foot's not all the way in. But the good news is by the time it does get all the way in, you're still pretty darn closed. But it's definitely something we can still continue to work on, is feeling in your hip muscles how that knee can get rotated more without needing to be on the ground. So now that your front foot's all the way in the ground, we'll quad box you up. And now we're rolling. Okay. Bam. So, I'll make sure I'm not too far out of screen. Okay. So what we're going to watch now, guys, is the stability in our front legs. So let me just make sure all of these are out of the way. Okay. So what we're first going to look at is some alignments. Okay. We can see down here how we kind of have this happening, and it's a little bit the same here, and also a little bit the same here. And the reason that it's looking like this is all of you guys, Angelo, you're the least, but you are just slightly striding across your body. It's very, very straight in front, but it's also, if we kind of got rid of this line and did one from your toe, oops, wrong person, and went forward, you're very close to that straight forward slash across your body stride. But I'm not saying anything besides that. I like it. Your stride's great. But we just kind of can note that the foot is slightly open, but the shin is slightly closed, and the thigh is straight. We can see that same thing over here with Benny. Thigh is straight, but shin is closed, and foot is open. Heikkinen beer, we have thigh is closed, shin is super closed, foot's wide open. So what this is telling me, especially for our two guys down here, is that your stride going across your body is more than your body actually wants. Because your front foot's coming back this way. I'm about to sneeze. Oh, come on. I got no light to look at. There we go. Excuse me. With your stride going across your body, there's nothing wrong with that. Some of the most elite throwers stride across their body. But what we see is that their foot doesn't try to get their stride back to straight. And that's what your foots are trying to do. Your foots are trying to say, yo, slide this leg over here. Slide this leg over here so we can get more in line with the rest of our leg. More in line with the rest of our leg. So, Benny, we're going to avoid this mismatch of our legs if we don't stride as far. Heikkinen. I'm just going to keep saying that. It's cooler. We can stride across our body, but let's then allow the foot to match across the body. Because you do a good job of being able to rotate forward. And as you rotate forward, this knee is not needing to bow out for you to do that, which tells me you could do that with that front foot. Either matching this direction, which would just be straight, but in order to not be open, you're going to have to think about landing with that front foot closed. And when you think about landing with that front foot closed, you'll actually get it to be straight. And then once you do that, you're going to be producing more power and having more consistent output with that energy. So thinking, my stride's going to go closed, that's fine. But as soon as this foot starts to open up here, it's going to want to open up my knee a little bit. My knee don't need to be opened. If I'm going to stride closed, my knee can stay somewhat closed as well. And it's going to do that better if my foot can agree with my leg. bending, like we said, we're just still just really reaching out. We can see just how, like, almost for a moment in time here, we're in the air, or we're like sliding on the back foot and not quite in the ground with the front foot yet. I mean, it's just such a big stride. We can see then when that front foot does get all the way on the ground, because it was striding for so long, your shoulders could not wait any longer and they had to start rotating. So we lose that upper lower half separation that we talked about and worked on in October. So keep working on getting that stride into the ground quicker, faster, shorter. So that way, everything else that you're doing, boom, we could be on time and have good separation. But we keep reaching it out so far that we lose that. And then, like we said, once you stride shorter, we won't have the need for the foot to try to get things rotated and back in position, because you wouldn't be over here for so long. You would be rotating it back over here and getting everything in alignment again. Okay, so we may want to think about your foot being a little bit more closed when you land instead of open when you land, because that's going to significantly help you be able to be, like the note said, stay strong on your front leg. You get strong. You get strong, right? You lock this bad boy out, but because I think this was open, we're going to now see that this knee, bam, buckles to open. Why? Because it's trying to get in alignment with this. But yet when we're locking that leg out, it's going straight back. So if this foot was more straightforward, we wouldn't feel the need to have to pop back over here, right? Because that foot lands slightly over here, that foot pops, and then it keeps popping us in that direction. That has almost zero impact on our throw. It's just going to have a lot to do with your consistency and repeatability in your finish, and just your body feeling better and healthier after starts, because there's less violence and popping and catching that you're having to do after each throw to get into your finish. Because everything else, dude, is looking pretty darn sweet. Mad Max, like we said, just a little more stability and firmness in that front leg. So you're getting stability, you're getting firmness in that front leg. We just want a little bit more of it. So we get you sped up to when that front foot gets in the ground, and we're probably going to get that more stability and more firmness if we get more connectivity out of our front foot in the beginning, which is going to come by getting that front knee rotated more in the beginning. But then we're going to see as we go to throw how that knee keeps spinning so much. But then it gets firm and stable, right? So we do it. We just need more of it. And your more is coming in the beginning. We need to get more stable sooner. So that way we're not getting all this sway going, which we can see just ends up sending your head. The same time that head goes heavy is the same time that the knee is going heavy. It's going heavy, which we then got to assume this is impacting this. And anything that's going this way while we're trying to rotate this way is impacting our power, our command, and our arm's health. So more firmness and stability in that leg earlier. So now if we want to be working on this, guys, we got to be at it every day, 5 minutes every day. It's all you need. So to do this, all we got to be doing is go into my page, scrolling down, how to get better. I want to get better. Well, if I want a stronger arm, there it is. If I want stronger, more controllable legs, there it is. We all need to be working with our legs. This playlist is going to be helpful. But we can go into here, look at the mechanical drills, right? And we can be doing things in here that's going to help us. Max front leg drill. Okay. If we need to be working on that feeling comfortable with that stride being shorter and rotating the throw, we got drills right here, Benny. We also all need to have that, can work on that stability and that front leg. So that's when we come over here and we're in that mobility, stability, and balance playlist. And we're looking at things that look helpful. Tidal tank stability rotations. Put me in a split squat position and rotate that tidal tank side to side. Boom, we got one of those at the facility. If we want better control over our legs, having better mobility will help. Doing some of these mobility movements. We got more mobility movements. RDL reaches. This is going to be fantastic for us to have single leg control. Being in the bullpen area and doing RDLs with dumbbells in each hand is going to be very helpful for controlling that front leg. So we got all these resources here, fellas. Let's use them each and every day to get us better. All right, my man. We're going to have your video play twice for you here so you can see what you look like. And then we'll go back to that note that we just gave you. And then we'll use some big leaguers to illustrate that note. And then we'll come back to you so we can have a better understanding of what we're looking for. And then we will show you where we can be finding the drills that are going to be helpful for you to be practicing every day to get better at this. And that note that we gave you was get your body going so we can get some early momentum to home earlier in your delivery. All right, so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna pull up big leaguer here. I'll get two of them for us, so you don't think I'm just picking one specific guy. There's Garrett Cole, he's right there, and then someone else that throws hard that is a good example of this. Actually, a very good example of this. Ben Joyce. So we'll start with Ben Joyce. We'll let you watch how quick and aggressive we are in the stretch, because guys are on base. When guys are on base, they're trying to score, which means they need to get into scoring position first. And if they are at first or second and there's an open bag and you're taking forever to get to the plate, they're going to take it on you. So because of that, we don't want to just be lifting this leg up, letting the leg go down, our body go down, and then us try to go forward. We need to see that as the leg is coming up, our body is slowly but surely starting to drift forward. We want to make sure as the leg is coming up, our body is slowly drifting forward. So that way, before that leg lift leg begins to go down, and before my back leg begins to bend more to load my legs into this throw, I have that momentum going forward. So when both my legs go down, I'm not just going down, but I'm going down and out. All right, foot's in the ground. Here's that chin and that nose. We go back to the before the leg lift, chin and nose. And now we'll do some more chin and nose, chin and nose, chin and nose. All right, so that's a pretty good illustration of the path his body is taking down the mound from where he's coming set at. It is a down and out, working with that slope of the mound, creating power and energy in my throw by sending energy to my target. So then we can go to Garrett Cole. We'll let his delivery go through. We'll let you go through slow motion, and then we'll do some very similar lines with him. Okay, so we'll take that back to the beginning of the leg lift, and let's see if we can't even just do that right there. We'll wait for his head to turn so we know really where that... Okay, so chin and nose. 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 So am I saying everyone should be doing it the same exact way that those two guys did? By zero means am I saying that. It just ironically happened to be those two guys from these two camera angles, from these two camera distances, worked out that it illustrated that same type of path. So then let's come to you, and without us putting you over there, let's just watch yours, right? So from the set position, chin and nose. We've now gone backwards, chin and nose. We're now going down, and we're going down, and now we're going forward. We're going forward. We're going forward. We're going kind of up. We're going forward. And now we're at the moment that foot's getting into the ground. So your path went backwards, down, and then forward, versus going forward and down and out. So this right here, this is just having that good, strong set position that I talk about since the very first time we've ever met, right? You're in this position here where we gotta rock ourselves back. We gotta rock ourselves back, rock ourselves back, rock ourselves back, rock ourselves back to get that leg up, which is only going to make it harder to get going forward if we don't have that momentum going forward. Because now you're going to do this big lean back with your upper body, because that's the only way your body's going to feel like you're strong. Because you're not getting strength by going, you're going to lean backwards to try to get that. Right? We can definitely get some shoulder tilt going back, but we gotta be going forward before that occurs, or at least as it's occurring. But we're just going backwards to now try to just go straight forward. Right? We're pitching, we're on this mound. There's a slope for a reason. We want to use it. And it's hard to use that slope if we just go down and then just step forward. So that's what we mean by get your body going. And if we want to get good at this, we got to be on that YouTube page every single day, learning how to get better. Here's how to get better. Did I just say that? Weird. Stronger arm. Do all your arm cares. We want better control of our legs and stronger legs. Right there. Mechanical drills. How to gain ground during my leg lift. Watch it. Mimic it. Study it. Come with questions Saturday, because I'm going to watch you do this drill. I want to see it be done well. All right, my dude. We got your video that we'll play twice in a row here for you to watch and to be able to identify the note that was provided and kind of see what that's looking like for you. And then we will get some big leaguers up to help illustrate that note. And then we'll come back to you so you can really then have a good idea of what that is looking like. All right, and that note that we provided was pertaining to your arm and making sure that we're loading that arm up. Right now, your arm is in a position to throw. That's a rather risky position for your arm's health, and it's significantly minimizing power. Okay, so that front foot gets into the ground, and like we learned last year, once that front foot gets into the ground, we want our upper body in a very specific position. You're checking off a lot of those boxes. One of those positions is making sure the shoulders stay closed, gloves finishing into our body, arm loaded back behind us. We want that lower half fired and rotated like we see you doing here. But the biggest thing, like we said, is we want that arm to load up. So if we look from shoulder to shoulder, we're even like we should be. And then we see from shoulder to elbow, we're going down, and then we're here. Looks like you got a square root sign rather than a sideways L. What I mean by that sideways L, I just got these two guys up from the last group that I was just doing of your team. So we'll use them as well, and we'll pause it at that moment of foot strike. Now that we're in slow motion, it's a little bit easier for me. So bam, and we'll just kind of slide him over here so that way the your line that we made for you does not get in the way. So from shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to elbow, elbow to hand. It's Garrett Cole. And then we will pull Ben Joyce up. I'll let you watch him at normal speed so we can see how fast and explosive we want to be moving. And then I'll pause him as well once he gets the foot strike. Bam. I'll even give him one more, let that weight kind of get into that front leg. And then we go shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to elbow, elbow to hand. So what we're seeing here, and I'll pull up some more guys for us to watch once I figure out what the hell I'm doing. All right, let me just go by date modified so I can get some more recent ones. And we'll just get some guys I know you know. Hunter Brown, Jack Flaherty, Corbin Burns, DeGrom. I got a better DeGrom one, but DeGrom is a good one to go for. I just don't know where it particularly is. Oh, this is enough, guys. All right, so we'll do the same thing with these ones. We'll clear all those lines out so we can draw some new ones. Back that up to foot. Bam, right? Shoulder, shoulder, shoulder to elbow. It looks like the elbow's down. It's just because it's so far behind him in the camera angle. And arm up. This will be a better one since we are truly to the side in this stadium. Bam, foot's in the ground. Shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to elbow, elbow to hand. Flaherty, another good angle for us. Crap, I was drinking water, my bad. Okay, so we get to, bam, that foot's in the ground. And we go shoulder, shoulder, shoulder to elbow, elbow to hand. So, as we can see, you're the only guy with that elbow way down here, which is weird because you're getting here, which is, you know, Cole's more extended with his hands, but that is the same point in time of elbows and shoulders get into relatively same alignment. And now instead of your hand loading up, your elbow dips and your hand goes up. So we'll watch you proceed here. We can see how that elbow is going down more than that hand is going up. And now we're in this position where now in order to throw, that elbow is going to have to get back up to that line. And that is where the stress gets added specifically to the front side of our shoulder and to the inside part of our elbow. So two areas where there's kind of a lot of things that can go wrong for a pitcher's arm. And that could be one of the reasons where our chest gets way out in front, but we just struggle to get that release really out in front. And it's just because we're spending a lot of time in our rotation having to get things up before we can get things going forward. If we were able to load this hand up, keeping that elbow up, Then once our shoulders start to rotate, everything's going forward rather than having to get super elevated and then go forward. Ben Joyce isn't the greatest example of that just because arm stroke is completely different than yours. His hand gets way up there really quick. So let me get you one other guy. Let's go back to Flaherty because that had a good picture quality. And then we'll get ourselves to about right here. That's going to be the closest that we can replicate. Dang it, I hate this new iOS thing. I got to turn that feature off. We get you to here, and that's, again, a very similar-ish position to Flaherty. Flaherty's, again, his glove size is more extended, but your guys' back arms are really similar. Your elbow's a little bit higher up, so bam, we'll go right there. All right, so your back arm, his back arm are very similar. He might have a little bit more extension this way than you, but all in all, it's the closest we're going to get. So what we're going to watch is from here, the hand's going to have to go up. Yeah, his elbow's going to go up as well. Your elbow's going to go up as well. But once he gets to about here, that elbow is not going to really come down at all. So if I kind of draw a little line right there, at the bottom of his elbow, we can see the hand is coming above the elbow versus the elbow dropping down, which gives the illusion of the hand going up. And then if we do that same thing with you, and I'll even get your elbow up to here, oops, and then let you go through, we can see your elbow keeps going even higher than that, but then to get the hand up, elbow's going down. Elbow's going down. So we extend this then. Elbow's going down. Elbow's going down. Another thing we always talk about is from those angles in our arms, right? We're looking for a 90-ish degree bend in that elbow and 90-ish degree bend in that armpit, and that's where you're losing it, is in this armpit angle. So loading the arm up. So quite literally, dude, just getting up against a wall with your chest and your elbow in the same alignment, shoulder to shoulder to elbow, pushing that elbow into the wall, and just work on raising the hand up, keeping the elbow where it's at, doing 100 of those a day, and then another 100 where you are just a couple inches away from the wall, so that way you can get these arms into this position here that you have, and then you can work on getting some rhythm of pinching those shoulder blades together to get those elbows into the wall. And then as the hand loads up, the elbow goes up a little bit with it, so then you get shoulder to elbow versus being here and then having that elbow come up and then the elbow go down to here. So just dry drills like crazy. I don't really have anything on the mechanical drill playlist on YouTube for this. I can obviously record a video and put it up there, but it would be exactly what I just showed you there. So we want to do that so that way our arm gets loaded up to a nice, strong, healthy position so we can start throwing harder and have less stress on our arm while we do so. All right, Tyler, we got your video that'll play here twice for you to see. And then we will revisit that note that was provided at the beginning of your chapter before we then get some big leaguers up to help us illustrate what we're talking about. And then we'll show you where you can find the drills that'll help you start to work on making these adjustments with your delivery. All right, and you got two notes that we want to be paying attention to. The first one is rotating your front leg so you have a stronger, more stable base to throw with. So if we watch your front leg right now, everything in your front leg is facing first base, facing first base. When we go to throw, we're throwing all of our energy towards home, which means when our front foot lands, we need our knee and our foot facing home. We can see your knee and your foot are into first base dugout. In order to throw the baseball forward, though, all of this is going to have to get rotated back around. So what you're going to watch is this knee is probably going to get somewhere over here at the end. Boom. Which means for the entire throw, your knee was twisting this way. So your lower body was not in a stable position to throw from, because stable and sturdy is going to be one that doesn't have to rotate and spin and bend and bow. Okay? So we need to have this front leg rotated by the time this front foot hits the ground. If I pull up a big league video from the front for us to look at, we can use Zach Wheeler, because I'm sure, or I can't say that, you guys don't watch baseball. Hopefully you know who the hell this guy is. And just notice his kneecap and his foot are facing the target when that front foot gets in the ground. But just like you, they were facing a base before. Obviously Wheeler's right-handed, so that's third base. Yours was first base. But as the leg goes forward, it's got to rotate. As the leg goes forward, it's got to rotate. Before it hits the ground, it's got to rotate. We do that same thing with Devin Williams. And we'll see everything's facing this way to start. But before it gets into the ground, it's got to rotate. So that way, when it is in the ground, the knee and the foot are facing our target. We take that back to you, and we can see before your front foot hits the ground, nothing has rotated. So we got to learn how to rotate your front leg. Rotate my front leg. Your next note is your arm path. So just watch this side view video. We don't need to pay attention to the front anymore. And let's just watch. Your hand comes out of the glove. It reaches back. It comes up to a loaded position. It's about 85% of the way loaded. And then you do this weird wrist curl, right? Where you curl that wrist in. And now that ball is next to your ear. And now because it's next to your ear, it's going to have to fling out around yourself. So we can actually redirect ourselves to this front view. Because this ball got so close to your ear, it's now going to get slung out around you. Out around you. Out around you instead of rotating it forward. We come back to these guys here and we watch. Everything in their upper body is going to rotate forward. We pull Wheeler back up. Everything in him, once that front foot hits the ground, is going to be rotating forward. Because your front leg did not rotate forward, and because your arm gets loaded to your ear, everything for you now gets sent this way, excuse me, and that way. It makes it a lot harder for you to throw it forward. So we need to work on also your arm's path, so that way you can keep a healthy and accurate arm. So if we got some side view videos for you real quick to just kind of look at this arm path, because there's so many different ways we can do it. We just got to make sure that when it gets loaded, it's loaded in a good spot. So we got some different guys here that we can use. Ball falls out of the glove, and then it's up, right? When that front foot gets into the ground, we got more of a 90-degree bend in the armpit and 90-degree bend in the elbow. We come over to Aaron Nola, and when that front foot gets in the ground, we got more of a 90-degree bend and 90-degree bend. When that front foot gets into the ground, we want to have more of a 90-degree bend and 90-degree bend. So if we then watch you, ball comes out good, it comes up, and your elbow right now is pretty much in that 90-degree bend. And then it goes into a 45-degree bend. And then it gets to, after we get that foot in the ground with that 45-degree bend, as you go to start to throw, it's getting out of that bend, and it's getting closer to that 90-degree angle, and then it's out to that bigger angle. So we just are looking for our arm to be less casty or throwing around our body, getting outside of our throw. And we're going to be able to achieve that by when this front foot gets into the ground, one, it being more rotated forward, but two, being in a more 90-degree loaded position. So if we want to work on this, we need to be going to the YouTube page that I'm always harping to you guys about and using the resources to get better. I can't make it much more simple on how to find those things to get better with. If I need to work on some mechanical drills, I click here, I go down until I find something that sounds like it could help me, right? Oh, I need to work on rotating my front leg. Here's a drill that says front leg rotation drills. It's probably one that I can work on and help. Right? There's other drills in here that I can work on that can help me with my arm path and just being consistent with it. There's one right there, right? I'm sure there's other ones that are in here as well that are going to talk about hand separation, right? So use our resources, practice, practice, practice. All right, Landon. So we got your video here that will let play 2 times for you to watch what's up. And then we will get a big league video or two to kind of help illustrate what we're talking about. And then we'll revisit you to really help you see those differences. And then we'll get you some things that we can be doing to help us practice this. I know you don't necessarily like pitching, but it would be a shame if we don't practice it at least sometimes on our Saturday sessions. Because if we can just get stacked and stay tall, that's going to help us get some momentum going towards our target, and we're going to start to throw harder and even more strikes than you already do. So I just want you to kind of notice, like we talked about in our session, how you kind of like to do this tilting back, tilting back, tilting back. And that's because your body is not gone forward yet. So tilting back is the only way your body is going to feel like it's gaining strength and power before it starts to go forward. So if we can think about staying tall with these shoulders over the hips versus the shoulders getting behind the hips, and we think as that leg's coming up, the body itself just kind of starts to slowly drift forward. Then when that leg is starting to come down, your body is going to say, yo, we're pretty much like shuffling in the outfield right now with our energy that's going forward. I don't need to tilt back a lot to feel strong. And that way, I don't need to get my legs this bent to feel like I'm getting strength in my legs. So that way I'm not having to be this low to the ground with my lower body, where I almost need to wear knee pads so I don't get some rug burns on as this is coming through. Everything's going to stay a lot more powerful and a lot more consistent for you. All right, so we want to think these stay above these more, so that way we don't have to tilt the shoulders back, and we don't have to bend the knees as much. We definitely want to load the legs, don't get me wrong, but you're getting to the point where we're pretty much squatting down to a true 90-degree bend. So let's get a couple big league videos here for you. We'll work from the side. And let's get some guys' names that you're going to know. Jack Flaherty, that's a common name. Obviously, Paul Skeens is a common name. I don't know which Skeens this one is, though. All right, that's a decent one. It'll be at least see the legs. It's not from the same side that we're on. Jack Flaherty. And who else are you going to know the name of? It's a little obscured. Trying to find some Tigers here, because at least I know you guys watch Tigers. Garrett Cole. Gotta know who that is. All right, so let's just watch the slow-mos of these guys and just kind of note, let's kind of draw a line through the center of their head and out through like the center of their armpit / pec. And let's watch as that leg is coming up, kind of see how that body started to drift forward a little bit. Just that little bit. It's not a lot. It's just a little drift forward. A little drift forward. So that way as the leg is going down, yeah, we get to have the chest go back a little bit, but it's not that huge bend. We don't even really recognize that he tilted it back. And it's because it didn't really tilt back. It's just the body is going forward and his weight is staying back. Right? So just getting some of that momentum early is going to help your shoulders stay taller, which will ultimately, yes, we're going to bend this back knee, but we don't need to bend it as much as you are to feel that same strength and explosiveness, because we already got momentum going forward. We come to Flaherty, and we watch the same thing. And then we got that slow motion where we'll see how the shoulders, yeah, it looks like they're leaning back, but they're not getting really behind the hips. They're going forward, staying tall. We're bending that back knee, yes, for sure, but not a big bend in that back knee. And we'll watch Paul Skeens as well. Keep those shoulders over those hips. And yes, the back knee is bending to get that leg loaded. Yes, those hips are going down, 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 down as we're going out. But then we can see that the back knee is not as close to the ground as yours gets because of how much we're bending it down before we even get going forward. So some of that early momentum is going to help you stay stacked and tall. So if you want to practice how to get some of that early momentum, we need to be getting onto the YouTube page, going down to how to get better. Here's the mechanical drills. Click and view that full playlist, and here's that first video, how to gain ground. That's going to be a really good one for you. Another one that we could do would be this slide pad movement over here, learning how to get our body going forward without the need of tilting back or having to get the back knee super, super bent to do so. So definitely worth your while to go onto the YouTube page of the mechanical drill playlist to help you get better. Because like I said, man, you may not like pitching, but everyone's going to like doing something really good. And I think you can do pitching really good if we just put a little bit of time into it.